Few things are as unique to Zenless Zone Zero as the Bangboo. Their form is iconic and instantly recognizable, a fact that developers make full use of. And by developers, I of course mean those behind the scenes at Marcel Group. What were you thinking? Bangboo are all across New Eridu, their mere existence having an immeasurable effect on the city's culture itself. Let's break down what makes the Bangboo tick, from their origin to the ways we see them today. Enna? It's that time of year, folks. Void Hunter! I want her, you want her. My friend really wants her. Except there's a problem. You haven't played 6,000 hours and gotten every single source of auxiliary polychrome, meaning you're broke. I have a way out, but you have to swear to me you'll only use it for good. Okay? Okay. It's called Gamsgo. Through this untold power, you can convert real money into fake money in Zenless Zone Zero. Look, Gamsgo is great and quite trustworthy. With just your UID and server region, you can buy gacha currency at a reduced price. They make it very easy to purchase off their site, including different merchants and methods to suit your needs. And cool thing is you can enter any UID and its region, meaning you can gift to your friends. What? I'm glad to be sponsored by Gamsgo. And if you'd like in on the fun, you gotta make sure Remiel comes home. Use the link in the description or pinned comment to get an additional 6% off your purchase, on top of the current discount. Thank you, Gamsgo, and thank you, viewer.
Target acquired.
A pin cannot be placed accurately on a timeline to denote when the Bangboo were invented. Their inventor is Sunbringer, first-generation Void Hunter of the Eridu age. This is where the gaps begin, for you see, Sunbringer is an intelligent construct. Her life predates the founding of Eridu at minimum and could have existed since the old civilization at maximum. That could be a time frame as wide as 1,000 years, with the invention of the Bangboo falling anywhere within that window. Regardless of the when, the why is well known. They were designed with a singular prime directive: to protect humanity. From what? Well, chiefly hollow disasters. Bangboo were said to have been designed specifically to aid humans during hollow disasters. The moment one is detected, every Bangboo in its vicinity is notified and updated with the relevant information to help steer people clear of the hollow. This assistance went inside the hollows as well, where Bangboo could be equipped and trained to take on ethereals themselves to defend humans. A very early model designed exclusively for battle came in the form of the high firepower combat Bangboo, though this line was discontinued not long after, most likely due to unnecessary might. The only known Bangboo of this model to survive to the present day was Lockspring, though it met its end after making an enemy of Yeshengguang and Phaethon. After inventing Bangboo, Sunbringer would found Marcel Group, continuing Bangboo production as its CEO until eventually moving on and leaving her creation's fate in the company's hands. Generally, Bangboo are designed from their inception to fulfill specific roles, such as construction, public security, or special operations. Many Bangboo are also designed for consumer use, acting as a cross between a pet, servant, and companion, depending on their owner's wishes. This is, after all, the perfect love letter to humanity that Sunbringer designed them to be. Speaking of which, what inspired the rabbit-like appearance? Well, evidently even Sunbringer's former colleague Joyous didn't know. That didn't stop him from naming his own invention to coincide with them, though: the carrot. Joyous's carrot gave the Bangboo a long-standing role in hollow exploration and operations. They are essentially hollow maps made from the most recent hollow data, and because of the ever-shifting nature of hollows, are only accurate for a certain amount of time. They were designed specifically to work with Bangboo, and though there's evidence of carrots not requiring a Bangboo vessel, they are 9 times out of 10 seen in one. Because of this, Bangboo are widely employed to assist the HIA, PubSec, Defense Force, and even plenty of hollow raiders. Just like humans must sleep at the end of the day, Bangboo must recharge. This can be done in the comfort of a home, like what can be seen with EOS. Alternatively, there are public charging stations in various locations, which can be used by Bangboo that are wild. Some Bangboo have no owner. According to city law, wild Bangboo are subject to being scrapped because they aren't recognized as citizens. In order for a machine with a logic core to be legally recognized as an intelligent construct, they must pass the forbidden fruit test. I have a whole video going over intelligent constructs, so check that out at the link in the top right corner for more info. Most Bangboo don't have the sentience to pass the test, but there is one recorded case of a Bangboo being an intelligent construct, and I'm pretty sure it would be canon. It's Mr. Z from the special programs. Cecilia calls him an intelligent construct, and he certainly shows a higher level of sapience compared to other Bangboo. He also does something not observed by 99% of his peers. He speaks human language. You've no doubt heard the now iconic Enna speech. This is Bangboo language. A short string of Ennas can hold the meaning of what would be a whole paragraph in human language. Because of this, nuance is extremely important, and humans have a hard time speaking the language themselves. Even the most invested humans can be barely intelligible after spending a long time learning. Understanding Bangboo language is when things get easier. Many humans are more than capable of understanding Bangboo, with a Bangboo owner almost requiring an understanding. Of course, Bangboo fully comprehend human language, though as stated earlier, nearly none of them speak it. The exceptions come in some rather eccentric Bangboo. Besides Mr. Z, there is also Robin, the peculiar Bangboo under Mockingbird's employ. Then there's Lockspring, the surviving high firepower combat Bangboo. There's also Mr. Z's colleague, Lady Meow, another intelligence broker and very likely also classifying as an intelligent construct. In their case, it's understandable why they would speak the human language. Being intelligence brokers, communication is very important. But in the case of Robin and Lockspring, the reasons for their uniqueness are rather unknown. You may have heard me refer to Mr. Z as a he. This is another thing that sets him apart from the rest. He's a gendered Bangboo. Same with his colleague, Lady Meow. It's very rare to see a gendered Bangboo in New Eridu. Bangboo are almost always referred to as it. They were designed to be gender neutral, no matter what appearance or voice they don. This would also, according to some people, make Bangboo woke. Bangboo can be spotted all across New Eridu, their very existence shaping the culture of the city itself. It's hard to not see a Bangboo wherever you look. They serve public security on traffic duty, Yunque Summit as assistants, Bellabog Industries as construction workers, the White Star Institute, the Defense Force, the HIA, the Cunning Hares, Spook Shack, Angels of Delusion, Astrial, Victoria Housekeeping, Hand, the Astral Express, Fantasy Resort, 141 Convenience. It's safe to say the Bangboo have truly lived up to their inventors' wishes. Bangboo are even a part of popular culture, starring in TV shows like Bangboo Knows and movies like Trecarles and Small Body Big Crisis. You may be inclined to think Bangboo have a large impact on New Eridu life. If so, then you've seen nothing yet. Welcome to Roscaelifer, utopia for humans and Bangboo alike. Here, Bangboo share equivalent rights with humans because they make up 60% of the total island population. Human and Bangboo representation on the Administrative Affairs Department's Council of Representatives is split down the middle. Bangboo have done more than shape the culture of Roscaelifer. They've shaped the very infrastructure. The city itself is designed to accommodate Bangboo, with things like small doors on buildings or even entire overhangs that can only fit Bangboo underneath. You might also notice that this door is too small to be for humans, but has a smaller door within it for your average Bangboo. So who fits into this door? Yeah, I think you've seen them. In Roscaelifer, many Bangboo take on a form that is double, triple the height of their smaller counterparts. I've tried scrubbing across so much information, and I personally cannot find much on why these Bangboo are big. The most I could find was a comment from Norma about a Bangboo she was close with not being as tall as he used to be, which could indicate that chassis type is a choice for the Bangboo. There is no clear link between size and maturity, but these taller Bangboo do appear to consistently have deeper voices. Also, You may have just noticed I referred to a Bangboo as a he again. Yes, in Roscaelifer, Bangboo carry many more identifying features because of their heightened individuality, meaning they tend to identify in more specific ways. On the island, Bangboo have their own dedicated online network called Interboo. It can be likened to the Bangboo equivalent of Internet. In other words, Bangboo Reddit. The service's central server is actually the massive Bangboo statue in CCD Square, or the big Roscaelifer cube if you've maxed it out. Basically every Bangboo on the island is connected, with new Bangboo coming with connectivity built into them. Humans classically aren't seen on Interboo, though they seemingly have access to it. Bangboo exclusive spaces are seen in other forms around the city too. The Spotlight Theater in Buastrom behaves this way, locking their gates to humans unless they are granted a key of approval by a Bangboo that trusts them enough. Because of their 60% makeup of the population, this gatekeeping behavior could be viewed as racism. But personally, I don't view it that way. Despite their majority makeup, this almost reads to me as a minority group holding onto each other because reaching outside their circle can be dangerous. Humans don't understand Bangboo. They oftentimes look down on them for their size, whether intentionally or not. Now, notice I said it almost reads as this. That's because there is still a lot of elitism amongst the Bangboo who are locking doors. But I do believe there's a world where both are true, that Bangboo want spaces free of humans to express themselves in peace, and that some Bangboo just think they're above humans and therefore shouldn't be allowed into their spaces. Beyond Bangboo leisure in Roscaelifer, they live the same lives as any human would. Namely, they have jobs. They're employed. There is a joke to be made here about the viewer, but I am opting not to make it. Bangboo can have families just like humans. Though obviously not biologically related, it's normal for, say, a Bangboo to raise a human child due to a certain string of circumstances. Bangboo are also very fond of bottle caps. They treat them like a currency, and just like human money, they're willing to do some insane things for them. The final subject to discuss is unfortunately a day every Roscaelifer Bangboo dreads. You see, after Bangboo work a certain amount of service years on the island, the External Strategy Department carries out a process called retirement. The Bangboo is sent down to New Eridu to live out the rest of its life, but because of Roscaelifer's highly classified nature, it is forced to have its mind wiped. This is collectively viewed by Bangboo as a kind of death, and it's hard to disagree. This has garnered an incredibly poor reputation for the ESD amongst Bangboo. They truly do care, however, and Chief Technician Norma has dedicated herself to finding a way to preserve important memories through a memory filtering chip. At the end of the day, the Bangboo are left in the hands of Marcel Group in New Eridu. There are a couple topics I couldn't really fit into the flow of this video, so I'll just tack them onto the end here. Roscaelifer resides in an area called the Minerva Storm Belt. First of all, I've always loved how downright cool that name sounds, but most likely due to retirement, many Bangboo feel a warm sense of nostalgia when thinking about or looking at renditions of the Minerva Storm Belt. In a retired Bangboo's equivalent of a dream during charging or diagnostics, it'll see this location. While I doubt all Bangboo hail from Roscaelifer, it seems a significant portion of them do. The Weeping Gemini W engine is made from recycled Bangboo shells. Yeah, sounds insane. The manufacturer makes clear that only abandoned shells were used and that no Bangboo were harmed in the making, but it can still seem macabre to some. I know I didn't go over every individual known Bangboo like I do in my other videos, but frankly, there isn't much to say for 90% of them. It would essentially be a sentence or two per Bangboo. Sorry if you were looking forward to that. Besides, the combat Bangboo don't even have story descriptions, only combat effects. So, did you learn a thing or two? As always, if I missed anything you think should have been here, do not be afraid to leave a comment or join my Discord and start a discussion. I'm just one person after all. Oh, and I'd like to announce, this Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific Time, I will be live streaming my 3.1 story experience right here on this channel. That's Saturday, August 1st, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific. If you're interested, see if you can make it. Not only will you get my initial reactions and thoughts, but we'll also be able to have insightful discussion. I'll place the link to the scheduled livestream in the description. If you're watching this video after the stream, the VOD should always be available. I hope to see some of you then. For now, that'll be all. My name has been Glastick. Thank you for Ena. Wata Ena na.